All right, what is up? This is Miss Doyle. We are going to go into detail about some topics from the American Revolution all the way up to the U.S. Constitution. Based on some of the activities we've either done in class or that you've done virtually, you've got some backstory about what the American Revolution is. Okay, people left Great Britain and other places to come over to this brand new world. Okay, known as America. And they get here and it's not everything they expect, and especially when they're a colony. Because when they get here as a colony, guess who they're under? They're under the king. But the king decided to leave them alone and wanted nothing to do with them. So they started creating their own governments. And then all of a sudden, this war, known as the French and Indian War, breaks out. And if you're the leader, you kind of got to go protect what's yours. So the king sends a bunch of money and a bunch of troops to fight in this big battle known as the French and Indian War. But it really wasn't the king's battle. It was between the colonists and the other people in the Americas. So in this war, the king had to put the money. The king had to put the weapons. He had to give the supplies. He helped the colonists be able to survive after that war. So if the colonists kind of started the war, shouldn't the colonists have to pay for the war? It doesn't really make sense that British citizens have to pay for the colonists' war. So to the king, he said, yo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a series of taxes, specifically the stamp tax and I'm sure you heard about the sugar tax, and make sure that those colonists can pay for this food. So what this PowerPoint is an interactive PowerPoint where you learn about key topics from the American Revolution all the way to the U.S. Constitution. And as an interactive PowerPoint, you're going to click and drag terms to fill in blanks and sort into categories, as well as answer short answer questions, or even read a document. So go ahead and going on to the second slide, which every single one of you have your own. You're going to stop before you begin, and you're going to get some backstory on exactly the highlights between colonial America all the way to the American Revolution. And you're going to do that by clicking this link. Once you click that link, okay, I want you to pause the video. You're going to read both the first page and the second page, and you're going to need to know this information because this is what will help you answer certain things throughout the interactive PowerPoint. So pause the video right now, read it. I'm going to pretend like you just read it. Now we're going to come back. So you're going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to ask you to click and drag the terms in reds to the appropriate fill in the blank box. So in 1765, Britain passed the blank, which forced colonists to put expensive tax stamps on all legal documents. What you're going to do is, it's the Stamp Act, okay, you just read about it. You're going to double click it and drag it. And once you do that, you're going to put it to the correct term, okay? So the correct fill in the blanks. You're going to do that for the remaining three using the reading. And then you're going to go to the next slide. On July 4th, 1776, the colonies announced that the United States was free from Great Britain in what document? I even put you a hint there. The DOI, okay? It's in like the last paragraph of the reading you just read. You're going to type the answer there. Now we're going to go on to some more stuff that wasn't in the reading, but phrases that I want you to know, okay? What the Declaration of Independence actually covers. So you're going to learn these phrases, and then you're going to start sorting things out. So for example, number 1 says unalienable rights. You're going to look over here and you're going to read the definitions, and you're going to take these little red terms right here and you're going to match them accordingly. For example, I know D is rights that cannot be taken away is what unalienable means. I'm going to put that back so you guys can do that for yourself. So So you're going to learn what these key words are, such as the pursuit of happiness is going to be E, trying to find joy and contentment. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and sort those out. Now that you're done sorting, okay, natural rights are where rights people are born with, okay? Consent of the governed is permission of those under the government's rule to actually govern me, okay? Just powers is powers that are fair, meaning it is fair for everyone, not just certain people. And self-evident means can be seen just by looking at it. So now that you know those key terms, you might refer back to this slide, but specifically you're definitely going to refer to the next slide. So in the next slide, I've outlined the 4 major parts of the Declaration of Independence and given you definitions for what they exactly mean, such as the preamble, natural rights, grievances, and the resolution of independence. That's all what the Declaration of Independence is covered, because we're trying to justify why the colonists are deciding to break free from the king so we can become our own country. So a preamble is like, hey, this is what this is what I'm about to do. I'm about to drop it right now. An introduction explaining why the Declaration is written. So I'm telling you what I'm about to tell you. Natural rights. The colonists explain the rights of the people and the role of the government power, meaning this is what a government should do, and you're not doing it. Part 3 is grievances, a list of the colonists' complaints. Remember, this is what you should do, and this is what you're not doing. So in part 3, they're giving them clear examples of how you are violating what the role of a governmental power should do. And part 4 says, because of those bad choices that you did, okay, this is why I'm declaring my independence. So part 1, I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you. Part 2 and 3, I'm telling you what I'm telling you. In part 3, I'm telling you what I told you, meaning this is the resolution of independence. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So based on those definitions, you're going to need to refer back to this slide. Okay, you're going to do a sorting activity. So that means you are going to sort these little statements into the correct category. Is it a part 2? So you have 2 statements that go under the preamble, and you have 4 statements that go under natural rights. So I'm going to go ahead and give you one. Sometimes it becomes necessary for one group of people to cut ties with another group of people. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to double click the box or around the box in order to move it. Sometimes it's a little hard, and you're going to wait till those 4 dots come up, and you're going to drag it under here. So now I'm going to continue to read the rest, such as what are natural rights? Well, if I go back up here and I'm deciding what natural rights is, what do we know that means? Can you guys think of it? Okay, it's rights people are born with. So knowing that I know that natural rights are rights people are born with, I know all men are created equal. So I know that goes under natural rights. So I'm going to use my back knowledge and the definitions that I just learned to help me sort this activity. Okay, so I'll leave those there for you so you guys understand what's going on. And now you're going to have another part. So the last 2 parts, grievances. Look, dude, King, you messed up. I'm really upset. You weren't acting like a government was supposed to. You categorize, okay, these terms right here. For example, I already put one there for you. Our own governments have been abolished. You have abolished the governments that we've been able to have since we become a colony. And now that's not good enough because we say you shouldn't tax us with no taxation without representation. And in this column, so you're going to make sure you read them. You understand there are 5 grievances, so you might have to scroll down to see the rest of them. And there are 4 resolutions. So the resolution is saying that thank you for your time, but from now on, we are pledging our lives, fortunes, and honor in support of this Declaration of Independence. So go ahead, pause the video, finish the sorting activity. Here in a second, I'm going to resume the video. All right, cool. So now that you have sorted the activities out, go check yourself. Yeah, that's right. I gave you the answer. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time, but I do want to make sure that you understand what a preamble is, what a natural right is. And the natural rights are what you're given today. All men are created equal. Think about what we're dealing with today. We're constantly pushing for civil rights, okay, to be equal in all aspects. And you need to understand the parts of the Constitution because that is what protects you. That is how we move on as a society. So we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and our unalienable rights, meaning you cannot take those away. Those are given to us because they are given to us. And now we continue to go on. Government must get its power from the consent of the governed, meaning the people have to agree to be governed. Now, so happens that we've agreed, okay, we've been born, we are a U.S. citizen, and if we don't agree with that, we can leave and become citizens of another place or another government. When a government threatens the people's natural rights, the people have the right to abolish it and make a new government. So the colonists believed that the king was abusing his power. He was forcing his soldiers to live with people without them paying rent. So they were taking their food, they were taking their water, they were taking away their privacy. They were taking away stuff that they hadn't been taxed on. How would you feel if your AirPod, you didn't pay taxes on your AirPods, but you did pay $120? So you didn't pay the $10 extra, but to pay the taxes or $20, whatever it is. And because you didn't pay that $10 or $20 extra for taxes, they came and they took those AirPods away from you. Would you be upset? I mean, think about what you would actually do if that actually happened. So, yeah, make sure you check yourself and you organize it correctly because I am going to go back and I'm going to check to make sure you have done this part. Now, guess what? We gonna stop and move on to the next part. Super easy. Okay. I want you to tell me what you're thinking right now. Do you believe another American revolution is possible? I want you to explain why or why not. Do you think our government is actually running for the government? Are they being equal? Are they doing everything they're supposed to? Or do we have a case where we can have our own American revolution and overthrow the government? Or do you think we should even do that? So I want you to take a second to explain why or why not you think American revolution is possible. If no, explain why. If yes, explain what your thoughts are. Go ahead and pause the video because I'm going to keep talking and moving. All right, here we go. So last part of notes today, okay? Doing what we did at the very beginning. I want you to stop before you read the next section. I want you to read wanted, a just right government. So you're going to click this link right here, or you can use, the links that are on Google Classroom. And you're going to take a second to read this document. Make sure you understand that the first document, like the first constitution we ever had, was the Articles of Confederation, and it was terrible. Okay, states all had one vote. States all had to agree unanimously, and it wasn't really practical. The federal government had no power. I mean, they couldn't even enforce laws. It was doomed to fail. And not only that, all the states had different money. So imagine if you were going to New York, okay, and then you come down to Georgia. Guess what? The money you had for New York is no good in Georgia. So that's why we operated on trade a lot. And imagine states today. Let's say we have one vote and we have to be unanimous. Look at Kentucky versus California. California has twice the population, if not more, okay? And they have different needs than what Kentucky is. We're agriculturally based, okay? We might want a bill to pass that California says, I want nothing to do with. So this was very hard for the federal government to figure out what's going on. So you do need to understand the pros and cons. And you need to understand the Virginia and New Jersey plan, how we got the Constitution we got today. For example, we have 2 senators, okay? So each state has 2 senators based on equal representation, okay? But everybody else has representatives based on population. Remember that issue of having one vote and only one vote? Now this is going to help us pass federal laws to be able to help all states and be able to represent people as a whole. Now you're going to also hear this term called constituents. When I say constituents, it means the people. So you guys are the constituents of Ms. Doyle's class. So I'm trying to represent who you are. So let's say you all vote, I take it, I bring it to Ms. Corder. That's what a constituent is. So if you haven't paused the video to read the article yet, please do that because I'm going to continue to go through the PowerPoint. Now this next part's going to require you to know the knowledge off that reading. Okay, because you're going to do the same thing. Click and drag the terms in red. Okay, I want a government that has enough blank to do its job. Okay, I want a government that has enough power to do its job. So just like we did before, you're going to double click. Make sure you have that 4 directional thing, and you're going to drag it over just like so. You're going to do that for the rest of them. And once you're done with, pause the video in between as we're going. Next one. In 1777, the Americans wrote their first plan for government in a document called the what? I just told you. What was the first document? It is not the U.S. Constitution. Okay. So according to the Articles of Confederation, a confederation is a group of individuals blank together for a blank. Okay. All in the reading. Please refer to the reading. Same thing that we've did before. You're going to click and drag the terms for this section. Make sure that you're understanding and you're reading because I need you to understand what the Articles of Confederation is so you understand the rocky relationship not only between the colonies and the British government, but guess what? The relationship between the people and our new government of America. So we're going to keep going. Fill that out as you're going. Now, it says quiz, but it's not really a quiz. It's getting you to be able to sort or answer true and false. So on each one of these, you're going to be prompted with a question. Under the Articles of Confederation, a president would lead the country. False. Okay. The president really had no power then. Even though we were going to have a president, it wasn't like we have today where we have a system of checks and balances and separation of powers. So you can use Google to help you here, and you can also use the reading. So the Articles of Confederation were easy to change. Okay, that answer is also false. Okay, it was hard to change because it had to be unanimous. It wasn't like we had a three-fourths vote. So you're going to take that check mark and you're going to drag it over to the appropriate column. And you're going to do that for the rest of them, but I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. Make sure that you understand certain things. Remember, here's the Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan. Again, that is on the reading, and you can find that right there. Cool, cool, cool. Going to keep going. You don't have to do anything on this slide, but you do keep going. And now this is fill in the blank, as well as you're going to move that check mark over. This is just to make sure that you understand what the Constitution means. And if you don't understand what the Constitution means, please, please, please use your internet resources to help you find the answers. For this section right here, it says under the Constitution, Congress has one chamber or two chambers. You take that check mark, put it over to the correct part. Again, if you have any questions, I want to have the Google Meetup. This is work at your own pace. This is the only thing you're doing today. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.